NATO is getting bigger at a time when its future is in doubt.
The threat is present, and that's why we're preparing.
Tanks on the charge in territory once claimed by Russia. As Sweden joins NATO troops for the first time, Donald Trump is sowing the seeds of doubt.
The Americans are
But they're questioning NATO now more than ever, aren't they?
They are.
NATO's soldiers say they can defend against any invasion along Europe's eastern front. Are you ready to fight for Latvia, to fight for NATO?
Yes, I'm ready.
But citizens are worried about a future conflict and who will help them. Do you believe that NATO and your allies would protect you?
I hope so.
Can NATO and Europe survive the Trump and Putin bromance, or is history set to repeat itself? In all wars, there are the aggressors and there are the defenders. Here, in the Latvian forest, it's Swedish troops who are playing offense in this NATO exercise. And so today, NATO's newest member is pretending to be the alliance's biggest threat, the Russians.
This is a mission that could make difference, I believe, to really deter. We're preparing for being as strong as possible, as soon as possible.
Sweden, once proudly neutral for 200 years, is now part of Operation Oak Resolve, as NATO members prepare to defend a nation right on the border with Russia and Belarus. This exercise simulates day 30 of an invasion into the Baltic states, and this is the first time Swedish troops have joined in.
It was a good decision a year ago to let Sweden become a member of NATO. We're very proud to be here as the first Swedish battalion in NATO, and we're here to deter the Russian aggression and also prepare to defend, if necessary, defending the Latvian border.
Major Fisk was once a peacekeeper in Mali and said he'd be happy to do the same in Ukraine. But that's a red line for Moscow, whose invasion has changed the shape of Europe and transformed the mindset here.
It goes through my mind almost every day. Doing this exercise, it makes me think about what the people in Ukraine is going through.
While politicians talk of ceasefire and defence spending, the soldiers here can see the forest through the tanks and the trees. They have to be ready for the future.
I think the most important message is that we practice every day, 24 hours around the clock, to become better, and we're not planning to stop doing that.
I can only affect what I'm doing here right now, so that's what I'll focus on. It was 3 years ago since Ukraine was invaded. We're here to prevent anything like that happening anywhere else.
Correction, India 3, forces through your AO. Do you have the combat power to be able to support their movement over?
This is one of 8 multinational brigades that run all along NATO's eastern flank. The United States is not involved here in Latvia. It's Canada, another founding member of the alliance, who leads this group. If the worst happened and America was taken out of the equation, do you think the European nations themselves are ready?
They are. They are, and they are very committed to it. NATO is not it's not one country alliance. NATO is built of many members, and the US is one member of the alliance.
But outside of the barracks, in the capital Riga, people are concerned about their future. Latvia, once part of the Soviet Union, feels the threat of Russia constantly. At a vigil for Ukraine, the blue and yellow is everywhere, lit up on monuments and draped around children. They will keep the flame alive for Ukraine, but they're not so sure about their allies. There's talks between only Russia and America at the moment. Donald Trump said a lot of things. How does that make you feel?
In disbelief, actually, in disbelief. Yeah. I think it's just awful what's going on. And it's really disgrace from Trump. All the words that he's saying that Zelensky is a dictator, it's just unbelievable.
The biggest worry probably is that within few years the war would come here to Baltic states or further on to Europe.
If that did happen, do you believe that NATO and your allies would protect you?
I hope so.
But that's a worrying...
Yeah, that's a worrying look, I know. That's how we feel, to be honest. We want to trust, to believe, but nobody knows.
With Latvians believing that Ukraine's fate is tied to theirs, what reassurances can the president provide for his people?
My message is that we should keep calm, despite the rhetoric that I'm hearing in Europe or in the United States.
So the rhetoric from the White House doesn't worry you?
It's 2025 and there are still NATO members who are not spending 2%. So if we do not understand a polite language, probably sometimes some kind of shake-up is needed. We should still treat Russia as a very dangerous adversary. And if we do not establish just and lasting peace and we do not contain Russia, that in 2, 3, 5, I don't know in what time frame, Russia would restart war in Ukraine.
So what is the best deterrence to stop that, to stop an invasion of Latvia? What do you need to happen in any ceasefire?
First of all, just peace in Ukraine. We are very much interlinked in this respect.
Which would mean peacekeepers?
Just peace could be with peacekeepers or without. But
even if Putin says no?
It's very sexy to talk about soldiers on the ground or boots on the ground or big targets, but let's look what would be the details of whatever peace deal or some kind of agreement there is.
Latvia is a nation whose past and present speaks to Europe's future. Images of the Ukraine war are plastered on Riga's Museum of the Occupation, which documents their time under Nazi and Soviet rule. Latvians know all too well about being caught between two larger powers, surrounded by threats on all sides. Can Europe stand alone without US support? They want to, but no, history is not on their side.